Boom. We're live. It's about to say it's Friday. It's Thursday. Look at that. Switching it up. You guys got to pay attention out here. So this is the final podcast of 2020, y'all. So hopefully a few folks can roll through. It's going to be fun hanging out with the homies. Wrapping it up nice. Hopefully internet is behaving itself. It's giving us a little bit of annoyance, bit of a pain right now, but we shall see. So I think I'm just going to get right into it then. This is 39. All right. What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 39 of Beer Not Just the Podcast, Adjunct Series, Quarantine Edition. This evening, we are doing the final episode of 2020, wrapping it up proper. What better way to do it than with a couple of good friends? I'm going to bring them in right now. We have Noah of Beerism co-hosting for the 17,000th time this year, and Émilie Leclerc of La Petite Bière. Welcome, guys. Welcome. How y'all doing? You good?
Good. Yourself?
Mate, chilling. Thursday, we out here. Pleasure to have you both on. This is great. I think I actually am, if I'm not mistaken, Noah, you put me onto Émilie early on.
Maybe.
I remember you're the first person to tell me about her, and we hadn't met Émilie until probably a couple of years ago, I would say now. Different Quebec beer events. We weren't doing many out here.
Yes.
So we were just never at events that often. And then I guess over time, more started happening, and then we've probably met half a dozen times at least now, which is great.
Yeah, because early on you were living in Montreal, but you were mostly doing beer stuff in Toronto and elsewhere?
Yeah, I was in Toronto like once a month, twice a month. So every time I go back there, I guess just because I didn't do shit, I just lived here. I didn't do things in Montreal. So we always went to Toronto. It was just easier for me. I knew more people there, and it was just easier to move, no language issues and stuff. And then over the last couple of years, it's been more and more Quebec stuff. And it was always like, it was funny. Tiff and I used to always joke, all the events were always Ontario. So you would always get these invites to, like, those beer dinners and stuff where they'd have pairing things and they'd invite all the, beer writers and bloggers and creators. And we were always like, oh, man, there's nothing in Montreal. Then the last maybe 18 months, it just went, it was like a trillion of them. And finally it was like, all right. And we kind of like doubled down on Montreal. And now there's just more and more stuff happening in Quebec. So it's great. I love it. So we all are, I guess for people who don't know, we're all based in Montreal or the surrounds. Right now, Émilie, you are not in Montreal, though, with that fire-ass background you got. It's cool, man. You're in
awesome.
Where are you again? What's the name of the place?
It's called Victoriaville.
Okay. Where is that again?
Yeah.
You were telling me?
Right in between Montreal and Quebec. So it's
Okay.
1 hour, 45 minutes from Montreal and 1 hour, 30 from Quebec. So right in the middle.
Perfect.
Close to Drummondville.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Close
Nice.
to Boquel.
Yes, that's
There
right.
you go.
Oh, actually, there is a microbrewery in Victoriaville. It's called L'Ermite.
Oh, yeah, I know them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Elmit's there? Oh,
Yeah.
They do good stuff.
Yeah.
Downtown Victoriaville.
Nice.
Okay, that's perfect. So, what we're going to do tonight as far as the beers, we thought it would be easier to just, your two favorite styles that you said were New England IPAs and Imperial Stouts. So then we were all like, you know what? Let's just drink those two styles. So we all picked Quebec-focused beer from those styles. So we haven't talked about which ones we're going to do. Would you guys like to crack open your beers and tell us what they are?
Yes.
I can go first, I
You
guess.
go first.
I have Potions Maudit from Messorem.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Haven't had this one, so it should be good.
That is sick.
Well, I am in the same area as you. I am with Messorem as well.
Oh, nice.
And mine is called Escarpette au ciel. Escarpette is a slang for,
Oh. Okay.
Like, what are you saying?
I love it.
Oh.
Messorem are crazy. They're
How'd you get
wild.
What are you
Messorem
having, Craig?
Victoriaville?
Would you say no? How'd you get that up there?
I said, how'd you get Messorem in Victoriaville?
Well, I brought it from Montreal.
Yeah.
You know.
What else
to
could
make
you do?
People discover this great juice.
Damn right. I figured I'd go along the lines. This is from À la Derive and 5e Baron called Main Tendu. Nice.
Oh,
little-
I didn't even see that one come out.
Oh, yeah. PR, shouts to PR. PR got this from me from the À la Derive guys. So I've had a few of their things. These guys
Nice.
have been one of my favorite discoveries this year. Everything I've had has been really good.
Mm-hmm.
And this is some, it's an IPA with Saccharomyces yeast, which I
Okay.
guess with Mosaic and Nelson. So I imagine it's like a tart IPA, 6%, kind of like pretty chill. Interesting. And both of you guys, are they single or double IPA in your IPAs?
I
It's
went-
a single, well, it's double dry hop, but it's a
Single,
regular
okay.
IPA, not double.
Not double.
Yeah, mine as well.
Yeah, same. You want to take any photos of this one? So let's pour up these beers, and then we'll talk about the beers real quick.
Yes.
Ooh, are we ready? We're going to do the photos as we go. So,
Oh, yes.
See, Craig puts on his fake smiles now.
I just having such a great time with you guys, you know? This is not very hazy. What's going on? Are you kidding me? Guys, letting me
It's-
down.
I checked on YouTube. You're coming in perfectly, but
Okay.
for us, you're still like cutting.
Yeah.
The video's cutting constantly.
Okay.
But we can hear you. Okay.
As long as you
Yeah,
can,
that's it.
as long as you can understand. I'll try not to do too much Australian nonsense to so you can understand me. That's interesting. This is almost like a brute or something. Yeah, you guys get that. Ooh, wow, that looks great, man. What's yours looking
Yeah.
like? Oh shit, yeah.
It's hard
oh.
to see with all the decals.
Yeah.
going
Oh,
on.
wow. Matching
Ooh,
glass.
look at this
Wow.
guy, Fancy Noah.
I have a skull, at least.
Oh, yeah. You
Yes, shouts to happy birthday to Patty for yesterday, by the way. Patty from Overhop.
Was her
She's-
birthday yesterday?
Yeah, she's a G. She was doing
Did?
deliveries. Patty from Overhop was her birthday yesterday.
Oh,
But-
really? Oh,
yeah.
cool.
and she was doing her deliveries on her birthday. Like she came and dropped off beer, and it was her birthday, and she gave us some food. This is Brazilian shit that she got. I was like, damn, she is the kindest woman on the planet. Works too hard.
She is.
Amazing.
She needs to chill. So, first of all, oh yeah, fuck, get it in ya. Cheers, guys.
Get it? Yeah.
Yes.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
This smells nice and Interesting.
Mm.
What's Saccharomyces? You guys know more about that? I don't know a ton about it. I imagine it's just like a tart.
I think Saccharomyces is just a standard ale yeast, but let me look it up.
A Saccharomyces Brussels. How do you say it? Like in French, Brussels.
Oh,
Bruxelles.
Basilicus? Or-
How do you
Yeah,
say what?
like Brussels, like the capital of Belgium, Bruxelles.
Bruxelles.
Bruxelles, you pronounce the X. This is called Saccharomyces bruxellensis. Yeah, I didn't know that. Learning. So I'm not sure if it's like a sour. Oh, here, there's the haze. There we bloody go. Jesus Christ. Okay. How are those two Messorems? Fire?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I find it interesting that people always talk about how all Messorem stuff tastes the same, and actually, I find it doesn't.
No.
I feel like there's like almost like two different roads that they go down to a lot of the time. A lot of the time, it's like that thing we all want, which is like the bright yellow, crazy hazy, more sharp IPAs.
Mhm.
But then they have these IPAs that are a little bit more on the orangey side, color-wise and flavor-wise. And I feel like this one kind of is in that direction, or kind of somewhere in between.
Right.
I think they really do try to create very different types of beer. They don't just toss different hops and change the labels.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
like the color of your beer is it's very different than this one. This one
Yes.
It's hard to tell with this glass, but it's a much darker orange.
Okay.
It's
And
really dank too.
are they both like that milky haze? Because it's sort of a little hard to tell.
Not mine.
No.
It's
And
definitely
Mine is-
Yeah.
it's hers. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can tell.
Super thick.
Yeah, I agree with that. I really like Messorem. Definitely does get more criticism for just because they do so much of it. But yeah, they're very, very different beers all the time. I find, and they're pumping them out so much. I like that they're bringing back a lot of the faves, like the ones that people really liked or whatever, and probably tweaking the recipes, making it a bit better.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, what is your beer
Yes.
story, fam? I don't really know. Like, how did you get into beer, and then how did La Petite Bière come about? Like, break it down.
Yeah, sure. Well, actually, it's when I met my boyfriend, Carl,
Shouts to
9
Carl.
years ago.
Nice.
We love Carl so much.
He's such a good guy. Such a good bloke, Carl.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. So yes, 9 years ago, when he discovered that I was only drinking white beer, like only Cheval Blanc or Hoegaarden, he was so insulted. He said, "What? You don't know IPAs?"
That's
So
still pretty good. That's
he-
better than you drinking nothing but Heineken or something. You know?
See?
Yeah, that's true.
But he don't like wheat beer, Hefeweizen. He really don't dig those styles.
I'm with
So
him.
he was on a mission to make me buy something else. So it started with the Boreal IPA, not
Okay.
IPA du Nord-Est, but IPA, the
Cool.
regular IPA.
The
So
green
it's
one.
the first IPA that I really had.
Nice.
And I immediately fall in love with it. And as for the blog, as you guys know, I'm an actress.
Yeah.
And I was working a lot in my 20s, but when I turned 30, like the phone stopped ringing. So, you know, when you're used to
Interesting.
work and then nobody calls you, it's mentally it's something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead of going crazy, I decided to start a blog. But I didn't know exactly what. I was hesitating between politics and beer.
Okay.
And at that time,
wow.
Mélanie Joly was
That's
ministre de la Culture. Mélanie Joly, and everyone was making so much fun of her. Well, she didn't make the greatest choice either, I must say. But people were making so much fun of her that I said, "Oh my God, no! I'm gonna go toward beer because people look so much nicer," and that's why I started La Petite Bière. Just to not. I was bored, because I was only being an actress and I only had that string to my arc. So is that an English expression as well?
yeah.
When we
No, but it works.
A string in your bow is a saying.
a string to my bow?
Bow. B-O-W. Yeah.
Bow.
Yeah, bow
Yeah,
is
like
the wood part.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
yeah. So you were correct.
So I started the. Oh, so, was that?
You were correct. You did good.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I started the blog, and from there it just started. Actually, Noah, he has been the first one to reach out to me, like saying like, "Hey, I just saw your blog. If you want, I have a Northeast IPA because at that time they were so rare, and I drove to his workplace, and he gave me the IPA, and I felt like wow. I felt like it was a big gift for me, and so I met so many great people, and that's how La Petite Bière started.
Amazing. And was it?
Well, it's funny because it
Go.
wasn't that long. It wasn't. Sorry, Craig. It
No.
wasn't that long ago, but at the time, there weren't many female influencers. Well, there weren't that many influencers, period. But and so I think that's why I was excited to discover you, and there was a couple others too, and I wanted to try and encourage it, and you seemed really into IPAs, so I was like, oh, let's just get you that can.
You've been so kind to me since day one, and every time you comment my post, I'm like, okay, yes, if Noah says it's good, it's good. You're still a very big reference to me.
Oh, thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
And how long ago did all this start? Would you say? Do you remember?
3 years and a half now.
3.5. Okay, right.
Mm.
And how has
You've come a long way.
Yeah,
3.5
man.
years. It's amazing.
Yeah, you've really been someone who is, I would say, is about your business. You are fortunate in that your boyfriend is a phenomenal photographer, so that's helped. But the way you express it, I think the way you do the way you do your captions in French and then in English is fantastic. Most people, at least say in Quebec, who would, you know, be, you've let yourself be open to other opportunities rather than just stay French, or even like us, it's just in English. So you've really done well with that, which is fantastic. The fact that, like Noah mentioned before, I guess we might as well touch on that. Being there wasn't many, I mean, beer is probably the whitest, malest industries ever. I don't know how many.
Don't forget the beard.
And the beard, yeah. You have to have a beard. It's a part of
both the cliche,
right? It's so ridiculous. We're very aware of that too. we are.
It's okay.
And you know, we try to use our platforms to always, you know, highlight people who aren't white and male. The problem with that is that when we say on BAOS, at least when we interview brewery owners and stuff, more often than not they happen to be a white male or the head brewer. So it's like it's even difficult to try and navigate all of that to showcase more females and more people of color and stuff. It's quite frustrating. So for you,
yes,
how has it been being you know, as you've taken beer? I mean, I imagine you started on Instagram kind of casually just doing your thing, and then it got more and more serious as time went on. So have you want to maybe talked about how it's been being a female in such a male driven industry and anything you've had to deal with?
Well, I would actually say it's there's the pre-COVID phase and the COVID phase.
Okay.
Before COVID, I really felt alone. Like, you know, I really enjoy talking with you guys, but it's so fun, you know, to talk with another girl.
Of course.
And I really missed it. And this is why, you know, I am super interactive with the American girls, the American influencer, female influencer. And I, you know, kind of gravitated around them because there was not really any girls who were blogging. But since COVID, so many more women are following me. So many more women are opening beer accounts. It's like, and they're talking to me, you know, asking for advice. And I feel like Mother Beer, you know. I feel like
great.
So
that's the episode name. That's the episode name right there. I'm
Mother
writing
Beer, yeah.
Mother Beer. I am writing that down right now. Okay.
So you're not
I
just
really
getting.
Hope it's gonna continue going like this because, and I really want to be there. You know, I try to follow any. Like, if you hide behind your beer, if it's just your boots and beers, you cut your face. I follow everyone. If you're a female and you talk about beer, I follow you. It's very important for me because I really want to be, like you said earlier, to be as inclusive as possible. Because I know what it is, you know, to be stigmatized. Is that a word? Can I use that? Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. I felt like rejected, stigmatized, especially because, you know, I'm very, I'll say glamour.
Yeah.
And so seeing other girls and be there for other girls and comforting other girls when they have difficulties or bullying, for me, it's, wow. I'm so glad that I was there, I would say first, because people are already looking out to me. So at me, like asking for advice and what do you think of this? Should I post that? If I didn't like that beer, how can I talk about it? You know, to be for it to be constructive. So I really enjoy being having that role, and I really hope it's gonna go.
Yeah. Yo, that's cool.
Going.
Yeah, I had no idea that was. Like the way that I didn't realize that you were that much ahead of the game. That's fantastic, and that was only 3.5 years ago. Even if you think about it like that, right? Like I've been posting about beer since 2011, casually and seriously since 2015, and then Noah, you've been doing the blog since I started doing my stupid selfie thing. And if you started 3.5 years ago and your Mother Beer, like that's. Mm-hmm. That says a lot about, I mean, I guess it's it says a bad thing about beer prior to that, but it says it's good things in that now you're saying there's so many more women who are posting about beer, which is fantastic. I like to see that.
Mm-hmm. Especially in Quebec, it's wow. In Canada too.
Really?
It's wow.
That was my next question have you noticed over COVID, say, that more women from Canada as opposed to the States are getting involved? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I like that a lot.
What do you think the reason for that pre and post COVID thing was? Is it that more women, or I don't know, more people in general were just trying more beers, or I mean they're stuck at home, they're doing that kind of thing, or is it something else? Like, is it that sense of needing to find community when you can't have that in person, or maybe a combination of the both, or something like that?
I think it's also another thing. I was watching the news and they were saying that when everything was shut down, the jobs that were lost, 59% of them were occupied by women. So I guess there were more women
out of work. Yeah.
Being bored.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's that. And of course, you know, I think many of them started like I did, just for fun, because they felt like, because when I was on Instagram, the only beer girl I knew was Craft Beer Deer from Buffalo.
Oh, that's Tiffany's favorite.
And she's amazing.
Her photography is insane.
Yeah, she's great.
And I met her in person. We did we went to Cooperstown in New York to
Umgang. Yeah.
Yeah, Umgang. Yeah. And we did a gig there together. Nice. Wow. And she's such a sweetheart. So I think maybe it's both of that. Like, more women were on the tile, not working, and maybe they saw like, hey, there's nobody talking about beer. I like beer. I'm going to talk about beer. You know, you need to find a topic when you have an Instagram, because when you talk about beer one day and then you talk about a cream for wrinkles and then you talk about a pet food and then you talk, people are, you cannot build an audience when you don't have a focus. So I think it's a mix of all this.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you've been really like, one thing I'm actually curious what you guys think. So being at Tiff and I, we own a social media agency and we're on both sides. We're on the content creator side and the agency side. So we know what it's like to do both. One word I really don't like is influencer. I understand it's become a thing, but I prefer content creator as like a term, because it's sort of nice. It's weird because I'm an influencer. It's such a weird thing to say about yourself. Like, I feel like people would need to call you that, but just wanted to preface that. So being that, at what point did your account go from just a fun thing that you were doing and started when did brands and breweries and things like that start reaching out to you to work with you? Like, how long was that time and what was the catalyst to make people reach out, do you think?
First time it happened, it was at a festival.
Okay.
I think back then people didn't understand how social media, especially Instagram, was working. So maybe they were not, because now people are reaching out like on DMs or emails and stuff like that. But before that, people were more, it's in festivals that people were like, oh, I have this in my cooler. Do you want to try it? Or, try that. This is my new milkshake IPA. I brewed it just for the festival. So it started like that. And then the demand was there. So I said, okay, well, let's do it. And as I said, I was not working as much as an actress. So instead of being bored, let's, be creative. And Carl, too, when he wanted to test a new lighting set up, or right. Oh, I got this new backdrop, let's try it, this new bodysuit, let's try it. So that's where I was going with that.
And that was like, so you started it when did brands start reaching out to you? So because they saw you at events and you started upping your content because of the fun photography stuff because when like I often say, if the person gives you only one beer, some people will say, you only gave me one beer. Hey, maybe that's all the marketing budget they have,
Yeah, for sure.
So I really wanted to, prove them that, thank you, I appreciate it so much, so I'm going to give it back to you, by what I know how to do, what to do, by by taking great pictures, because I'm not a brewer. I'm just a beer drinker, and what I'm good at is being an actress and being creative with my boyfriend. So this is how it started. And then people, oh, okay, then the word went through, I guess, and people knew me more, so they start reaching out by DMs and emails and stuff. But at first it was really in person. If I started my blog in COVID time, maybe, but the company knows now how to do, I will say,
influencer marketing.
Oui, c'est ça.
Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have very strong opinions about this. And I'd like to, because you both, basically, the three of us are some of the main people, I feel like, alongside maybe Matt from Vox and Hops. If every time I get a package, I know that Noah got it, and I know that you got it. Every time. I always see, oh, cool, of course I do. I feel like we are some of the people that usually are go-tos for breweries, because we all have great content. They can trust us. They know we're going to give them value for that, and they appreciate all of the varied perspectives. And I think that's where that comes down to. What I've noticed, and this is not from the BAOS side, this is from the marketer side, a lot of breweries seem to have a bit of a misunderstanding of the value of different individuals with influencer marketing. For example, and there's a couple of different ones. So the same package that I get and that you all get, somebody with 150 followers who takes cell phone photos of a beer on a stove gets the same thing that we get. And I feel like there's a bit of a problem in there. Now, it's not like we're special, but it's almost like, well, you haven't given enough of a reason for somebody with 30 plus. How many followers do you have now? You're 30 something.
37.7.
Okay, so you get 37. I think we're at 23 something or whatever. Noah, you're a OG. Everybody just.
I got nothing.
It doesn't even matter about your followers, though. They want the blog post. They want your blog post, and they want your photos. So, and it's not putting anybody above it, but it's an interesting concept where breweries are sending out the same thing to somebody who actually makes pretty objectively shit content, and then sending it to people with more of a following. It makes me at least less inclined to want to support that, because my camera is worth so much money, and the lights and all the setup we have, and not to mention you guys, obviously Carl, have expensive cameras, but you got backdrops, you got props, like the makeup, the time it gets you to do that I don't have to deal with. I just have to put on a sweater and I'm good, Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? I always find that so interesting, and I feel like it's one area of craft beer where they haven't figured it out yet, or many breweries haven't figured that part out yet. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or opinions on that.
Well, I mean, sometimes when I look at Emily's stuff, it's just like, man, that the photo you're posting would have cost like thousands of dollars.
Literally.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm saying.
I was blown away. So it doesn't surprise me that people reach out to you, because, well, I mean, it's not even just that, and not to like sit here and just compliment you over and over, but like what I've also like always liked about your stuff is you're actually doing a review a lot of the time, but not all the time, which is fine too, because you're just playing, right? Like, you're doing different things. Some shots you're like you said, you're glamored up 110%, and then you do other things where you don't even have a lick of makeup on it, and that's awesome too. And it's like that full kind of spectrum. And I know you, like, I want to ask you about this after. You don't have to get into it now, but I saw today, I don't know how long it's been there, but you're studying, it was like Cicerone. Anyway, I know. Yeah, I know you had mentioned that you wanted to do that a long time ago. I wasn't sure where you were with that, but anyway, just back to what Craig was talking about. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know how I feel about it, to be perfectly honest, but I'd hope to think that the breweries have some kind of concept that the level of effort that, just to use Emily again as an example, that goes into one of those posts, and like you said, the level of effort of the person who can even like take the time to put the can in front of the glass on top of their stove,
or fill it up the full way,
like greased up pan in the background with no review, just some hashtags. That's like some kind of value that deserves to be, I don't know, sent cans to. And like, I think the reason why that probably happens is that the breweries are like, look, it doesn't cost us anything to send a bunch of people some cans. So let's just send it to fucking everybody we can find. But at the same time, I think what that ends up doing, and they probably don't realize it, I know me and Craig have talked about this a lot, is that
at length.
You have people just starting crappy beer accounts on Instagram solely to get free beer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So then all that ends up doing is just like harassing the breweries and then stopping them from wanting to do this, because I'm sure they're just, you know what, no more. I'm not sending anything to anyone. This is just out of hand. Because like saying no to people is got to be awkward too. I wouldn't want to have it as a brewery.
Yeah.
But I heard stories about that, you know, breweries like,
Oh yeah.
for example, it's not me, but I know a person who have a beer account who wrote to a brewery saying like, hey, I would like to visit, you know, and talk with you guys, exchange, and, you know, to know more about the brewery. So what would be the best time to visit you guys? And the person answered the beer blogger, oh, we don't give any free stuff. And
that wasn't even what
so
she was
I
asking.
get what you say, like they're probably so tired of it, but I don't understand that. I mean, me, my modus operandi is to give, and then ask, you know, not go and say, okay, I have 300 followers, give me free beer. You know, for me, it's just, my mother didn't raise me like that.
Honestly, that is the best way.
That people are actually doing that, because they are doing it, because breweries, you know, and this is one anecdote, but there's like, I have already 3 other one popping in my head, you know. So yeah, it's true, and it makes maybe the breweries it burned them, so they're not inclined to give after that, you know.
And that's
which
the
is
problem.
Sad.
Yeah, because it's not about.
But I understand them.
No, absolutely. It's more like these people have poisoned influencer marketing to the breweries, because often, and this comes back to my original point, the breweries don't always have a trained marketing person working for them, making the decisions, like Noah was just saying, over and just sending them to everybody, rather than like, all right, instead of sending them to 50, let me just send them to 15 people. And these people have great content, and they'll do it without being paid. They'll do it for product, and I appreciate their accounts. You know, I can be transparent. One of our clients for our company is Echo Session Ales, and I helped him create his influencer marketing list. And there were people, he originally came to me, and I was like, no, and this is why. And then some of them he'd said, no, let me send them anyway, and then he decided to take them off later, because of the performance. So it's more like, and that also comes back to what you were saying earlier, Emily, about what's their marketing budget. Well, whilst it might cost them like whatever, $1.50 for the beer or $2 for the beer, even if you send one beer, it's minimum $10 or $15 shipping. So like you add that up over 50 people, that's hundreds of dollars, like pushing $1,000 for one beer campaign. Every time you drop a beer, you're going to send it to all these people and then what value are they delivering to you? So like, I guess I wanted to use this as a good opportunity, because all 3 of us do this stuff in very different ways, but there's proven value over time, particularly like Noah was saying with what you do, like even just thinking about a couple hours preparation. Just like, I mean, the one shot that pops into my head, you mentioned bodysuit before. I remember you did this blue thing. It was like the background was blue, the whole suit was blue.
Yes.
And I think it was for a gin.
Yeah, I had a shaker.
And the gin, it was for the Blue Royale, I think, or something.
The Blue Royale.
Yeah, Tiff, we went there. We went there the same day, and we missed you though. You went there the morning, and we went there the evening.
I know.
Yes, god damn it, right? The only time to see anybody that we know.
Damn it.
But yeah.
So sad.
It's, I know, we're this close. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. But I feel like at the end of the day, like I don't want that to happen, as far as what you were talking about with your friend, that the breweries get burnt by too many people asking them, because all of us have friends. I've had them send me screenshots of the dumb shit that people ask them for, because it's ridiculous. Like, it's so ridiculous, these people. And I think you're 100% right. You've said that. That was the best way I've heard it said. Like, give before you ask, before you try and take. And I think the three of us, and among many others, have lived that. We've made sure we've given back. I paid for everything for years. Every piece of content you saw, that was all of us paying for these products. And then eventually it gets to the point where, you still buy stuff, but less and less because you don't need to as much, just because you're trying to satisfy the people who want your content. And I want to express that everybody has, a lot of people have I need this now. I want 20,000 followers next week. And instead of slowly growing it over time, it's people get impatient and they start asking, and it becomes a thing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes, and the thing is, when you grow too fast, your engagement rate is shit.
And that's what it's about.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
I saw it because I can see likes on Instagram.
Yo, mine, I can too. It's weird.
See it.
Yes. Yeah, it's really strange.
When you grow too fast, the engagement rate doesn't follow.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends how you grow.
Why? If you do all day, then you're going to have a huge engagement rate and grow super fast. But you know what all day is?
No.
I don't.
Occupation double. You don't know occupation double? Oh my God. Okay, let me teach you. It's a...
Break it down.
It's like the Bachelor kind of télé-réalité.
Oh,
okay. So you got like all single people, and they are together in a mansion or whatever. And after there's a one lucky couple that wins, I think it's $100,000 or a house. I don't remember. So I have a friend who did it, and she went from 32K to 170K in like a month. And her engagement rate is super good because people saw her on television and stuff. So, but anyways, it's the only way. Do all day.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
No, don't do all day.
No. I'll never do that. I know what you mean. I've watched other different reality people. Like there's some other ones that have come up where they start with nothing, and you watch them, you follow them, and every day they're going up by 100,000 followers and stuff. Yeah. So, there's different ways to go about it, but I feel like there's definitely a lack of, I guess all of this to say, there's a lack of understanding of this whole world, both from a brewery side and from the Instagrammers or whatever. Because
and also, breweries don't look up things like, I know people who receive tons of beers, but they never answer to their comments. Even when I write to them, they take like 10 days to write me back, but they have like 6,000 followers. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, breweries needs to be more aware of things like that. Does the influencer, but does the content creator engage with his fan base or not? Yeah. Because it could be all buy likes or buy fake followers. You don't know. So breweries needs to dig a little deeper before sending things to everyone. The person can have 300 followers, but if the person is super engaged, super kind, is following tons of other breweries, is out there, is very interested by the beer culture, then why not send it to a 300 per follower account, So this is things you need to look out for. It's the same thing for me. When a brewery approached me and say, "Hey, I'm going to send you a can, do a post." I'm like, yes, but no, thank you. I'm just like, why? No, you need to be kind and give. Even if it's just, a like or a comment, or you need to be kind. You need to be implicated in the community. And I think breweries sometimes they don't do the work. They don't dig. They don't go deep enough.
Yeah.
Just the person talk about let's send it to him. The person have 6,000 followers. Let's send. Sorry, my English.
That's okay.
Let's send it to him. So
that's.
I think there is work to do on both sides.
100% agree. That's a really interesting point you just made, Émilie. So you feel that it's important for the brewery to establish a relationship with the creator prior to asking them to do something, because it's the same thing, I guess, as it's almost like if the Instagrammer is commenting, following the brewery and commenting a lot before requesting a package or whatever, you feel it should be both ways. This is the first time I've heard this. Can you talk more about that? Because I think that's a really, really great, it's a great point.
For example, let's take Ralbok.
Okay.
Since day one, Ralbok, they like all my things. They answer my stories. You know, they reply my stories. They're really out there. So
Alex
when they say, "Hey, Emily, can you talk about that beer?" I'm like, "Bring it on!" You know?
Right.
I don't even ask questions. I don't even try the beer. I'm gonna give an honest review, and because they're always there for me. Same thing with Brewski Guillaume. In one festival, I was circled by trolls. And I was like, when I get bullied, I just freeze, you know. And I felt like I was in high school again. And Guillaume just went into the circle and was like, "Does anybody know her?" Well, but no. Do you know her? Well, you don't know her, so fuck off. And they all left. So Guillaume, he asked me to walk on the hands. I'm gonna do it, you know. Like
whatever.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So.
That's important to you.
You know, for example, many breweries are writing to me, and they make me a big letter talking about how hard it is and the difficulties they're having. Even if they don't like my post or they're just following me since 2 days, if they're sincere, if they're, I'm sensitive. I'm human. So if you tell me, for example, McFerley, I don't know how to pronounce, but it's MACFERLY.
McFerley?
McFerley?
Yeah, okay.
I need to
from
ask
Quebec?
them how to pronounce it.
Where are they from?
But yeah, they follow, they're from Ange Gardien.
Okay. In Quebec?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's close to Granby.
I see. Okay, up there. And
so they reached out to me, and they were not following me since a long time, but they were so sincere and so passionate, and they really wanted my feedback. They'd never ask for publication, and I did one, I think, yesterday or the day before, because they were so sincere, like, "Hey, whatever you can talk about. If you don't like the beer, tell us." They were so yeah. Don't say like, "Hey, this is my beer. I give you one. Can you do me a post?" No. It's just, so I'm sensitive and I'm touched, and I it's because of the breweries that I'm here today. So it's just natural for me to give back, maybe even if it's not the same brewery, like the Young from Brewski is super nice, but even if it's a new brewery that comes in, and if the person is honest and authentic and is very honest with me, well, I'm here for that, because breweries have been there for me, and it's because of them that I'm here right now. And so I think it's an exchange all the time, and so be kind.
I couldn't actually agree more.
Yeah.
I mean, like everything that I've done over the last 8 years has to a certain degree tied into that, because I would say almost all of my success is due to the relationships I've built with these brewers, and it's kind of like this history of Facebook almost. Like Quebec, it seems like in Quebec we're very Facebook centric, especially at least in the beer scene, huge Facebook scene, and like over the years I've established all these relationships with these guys when they were just starting out. Some of them weren't even brewers, and now they're head brewers at breweries. So like it's been like this long journey. So like Francis Richer from Harry Canna, I've known since he was just doing home brewing and whatever, like a bunch of those guys. And so it's like, it's always been this really personal thing. And that's also one of the reasons why I think people think I get all the beer. It's not, I don't necessarily always get all the beer because I'm Beerism. It's also, it's like these relationships that I've built over the years, and these connections, and like almost all of them never have any expectations from me, or at least they don't say it. I mean, maybe they do, I don't know. But it's like, hey, I want you to try this. Let me know what you think, or whatever. Or like, oh, you gotta, they're almost. I feel like they're more excited for just to talk about the beer that they're sending me and to see my thoughts on it than they are about the content I'm gonna create for it. And I think that's really cool too. And just like chatting about it and whatever. like I have so many group chats with a lot of these guys, and it's just so much fun. And like you said, whenever someone reaches out and they're a little too cold and direct, it always kind of rubs me the wrong way too, a little bit. And you know, my content is very it's a very, if you send me a beer that I'm gonna do something with, you know exactly what I'm gonna do. Whereas with you two, it can be different things. It can be a video, it can be a story, it can be both, it can be some elaborate crazy shot that looks like a professional thing, it can just be you in your kitchen, who knows, right? Like there's a whole gambit. For me, it's very it's either you're getting nothing or you're getting what you pretty much expect.
Right.
I guess there's a difference between if I just like do a blog, if I do a whole blog post on it, an article versus just some social media stuff. But anyway, all this to say, whenever someone's like, can I send you a pen? I'd love for you to take a picture, or can you just take a picture? And it's just kind of like this, it's just like kind of a real presumption with it. And I guess like that is kind of what I do, but at the same time, I'm more inclined to do it if they're like, hey, we have this new beer, can I just send it to you to try? We'd love your feedback. Then those are the people who are probably going to get the actual post quicker.
Right. So it's all about that. Yeah. I think I didn't think of it like this, and you guys are both making it. This is actually a really cool point. Speaking of that, Alex from Chambly just commented, he said Noah, and then the little heart emoji with the face and the hearts around it. Like and I really like, I feel like that's it. And that's
I was thinking about Alex when I was talking
saying
about that.
See, he knew. There is something to be said about that. And I think you guys are so right, because it's about the relationships over time. And I guess the difference that we have compared to you guys, that like the relationships for me didn't really come from Facebook as much. They have recently, I guess, because of COVID. But before, we would do podcasts. We travel somewhere. We go to the brewery, and the podcasts themselves go for 2-3 hours. And usually you're there for an hour beforehand, and you might hang out afterwards. So like you spend that much time with these people that you didn't know from shit, and a lot of them like don't know what this is about. And then by the end of it, you're like best friends, and then you're supporting it forever. So I've been able to create those relationships exactly like you guys in a different way, and I've noticed what that means. And it's just longevity, basically what you guys were saying, it's over time. Like if you're and I guess the advice to newer people is like create relationships. Don't just go begging for beer, because I would actually just say it doesn't bother me that much if someone hits me up and go, hey, I'd love it if you posted a story or a post or a 1-minute review or whatever, because you're being direct. That's what you want. That doesn't really piss me off that much. I'm not really rubbed the wrong way because they're like, that's what I want. I'm like, oh, okay, well, fine, man. All right, let's see. And if you ask, I'll be more inclined to do it, to be honest, because I'm not offended by that directness. It doesn't bother me, because they know that's the content I create, and it is. So I'm like, okay, that's what you want. Cool, all right. If you were direct enough to ask, then you know, you closed mouths don't get fed type of shit. So I find it, but at the
oh, that's really interesting too, though.
Yeah, like it just doesn't bother me. It never has. And I always point out, like, yeah, I was saying to Tiff, read out, look at this guy. He's hitting me up last for this. I'm like, fine, all right. But like at the same token, now it's to the point, and I know you guys are the same. You know, there's been a significant increase in beer mails over COVID, and I'm barely able to keep up at this point. And I'm trying to. I know, yeah. So we're all got it, because I know that we all get the same stuff. And
oh yes,
you know, on top of other different individual stuff. So if there's similar ones we get, but I'm sure we all. I know Emily, you get stuff from the States. I get Ontario stuff. Noah has a bunch of relationships here with people I don't know as well. So I find that like I always try to, at least if I get a package, I'm like, all right, let me do something sooner than later. So at least I can put one thing out for them, and then if they don't get any more, and this is actually Noah, because I was always trying to cover everything, and now it's to the point where it's just not possible. So if you can cover one beer in some shape or form, and then that's what they get. So I guess there's probably quite few people with our problem. But no, it's a super interesting conversation though. It's just because a lot of people don't understand it, and and there's this thing as well, us being on the social media side, like the agency side, that all of our clients, and we work with a bunch of clients all over, a lot of American companies, and people reach out wanting exorbitant, and like we're, you know, in our world, they want beer. It's a $3 to $7 can. We have a hotel company where people ask for a week of stays for free. That's worth thousands of dollars, and they've got 400 followers with shitty photos. And
Really?
the audacity and entitlement of people in this day and age is fucking insane. I can't express it. And you think beer is bad? Beer, the value of it is so low. When it comes to other things, the exact same shit happens, but it's worth $3,000 for a week at this hotel. But then so you have to come back to them. Cool. So give me your media kit. I want to see some examples of results that you have. Give me some stats, some engagement stats, blah, blah, blah. And then crickets as soon as you ask them.
They run away.
Because anybody thinks that people do really think, and then no shade to folks, but 500 people is not a following really. Like Emily, you made it for beer, maybe it is. If you've got 500 people and you've got a really strong engagement and people do it, then maybe there's some value in it. But in most other industries, it just doesn't cut it, and there's no real value. So it really depends on what it is, and people have to be kind of aware of that. I guess we're talking about breweries, so it is a bit different. But like say Echo, some of the ones he likes don't have many followers, but he's just like, I just like them. I like their vibe. I like their photos. I like the way they do it. I'm like, all right, cool, man. I would probably tell you not to send it to them, but if you like it, then you do your thing, type of thing. So. Yeah, I really hope that if any breweries are listening to this, and also Instagram, is that the breweries just need to really think about what they want from it. And now the advice from you guys, I think, is more valuable than what I'm saying, is that the relationships are so incredibly important. And I really didn't consider that as much before.
And I think a lot of the breweries that get it are the ones that are on social media and interacting with people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And they are the ones who know, because I even see, like, I have some brewery owner friends who give beers to people who don't even have like blogs or Instagram accounts with followers. They're just dudes who know a lot about beer and have a lot of friends who respect their opinion. And so it's like, in a way, I think it's like a gift, but another way, I think they also know that like they're probably going to post about it, talk about it, or have some group chat with their friends or whatever. So like,
and their friends will listen to them.
Getting the beer in the right
Never
hands.
underestimate mouth to ear.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, still very powerful.
Yeah.
Even if we have social media and everything, like, mouth to ear, is that an expression?
Word of mouth. It's called word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Word to mouth.
Word of mouth, which actually makes no sense at all.
Of?
Mouth, yeah, word of.
Mouth to ear actually makes more.
Yeah, mouth to ear makes way more.
Change it to that.
I'm gonna I'll message the marketing curriculum at Concordia. I'll get them to fix that. Yeah, this is just fascinating because you're right, and I feel like I didn't think of it, but a lot of people say to me as well, and Emily, like Noah, you just said this, and Emily, I bet they say it. They go, "Oh, I just want you to try it, man." I'm like, I'm gonna fucking do content, dude. Like, of course I'm gonna do content for you because, like, I love you. You're a friend, and some of these people become your real friends. But also, we respect, and this comes back to Emily, what you were saying as well. Like, we respect that this costs them money. We never take it for granted, and we want to make sure there's value given in exchange for that, because this is a small business, and right now small businesses are hurting more than ever. Particularly, it's tough for a lot of breweries, particularly those with tap rooms and stuff. And the fact that, like, I didn't expect that it would be like this. I thought it wouldn't be many beer mails throughout all this, but it's been probably 10x what it would normally be. Not really exaggerating that much. Like, it's been a little, and I want to support them all as much as possible. And even though, like, we post every single day, and I'm pretty sure you post pretty much every day as well. Emily, Noah, you always post something as well. I feel like three of us are very active.
Yeah, I try to do daily. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I was thinking like, I actually want to take. Oh, it's called Boombox. It's at the top. Boombox. Just getting my next beer. She's very kind. I was sometimes like, what?
You got Boombox?
That's mixed. You're thinking mixtape.
This is mixtape. No, Boombox. Oh, it's so good. It's from Baron.
How do you get Boombox?
You're so lucky. So good.
No, shouts to Nathan. So our good friend Chris works for Sankiam, and Jacob, the owner, is a friend of all the VAOS, and I know him, I guess, because of Noah. So Nate is in Ottawa. Nathan writes for BAOS. He's our blogger. He writes the blogs. So him and I did a trade, and Chris gave them to him, so he sent them down. So try. Are you guys doing a second beer, or are you gonna go straight to stout?
Well, I can present my second beer, but I'm gonna be drunk if I drink the 3 beers.
That's what I was just
I'm
gonna
gonna do 2 if that's cool tonight.
Okay.
So
are you guys ready
I'm
for
But
gonna
I
this?
can present the second one.
Okay. If you want to show us what you're
Just
gonna
like
do,
a
Emily,
teaser.
and then Noah can show us his, and you can just go straight to the stout. I'm just trying to get rid of stuff.
No worries, man. We can all drink whatever we want.
Thank you.
So what do you got, Emily?
Tell us.
Into the
So
cloud.
again with Messorem.
Nice.
Is
So
it
this
about?
one is called Above the Nuage. Above
I love
the
that
clouds.
name.
Do you-
I've always loved.
Do you
that
guys
name.
know what it's from?
Yes.
Well, it's just a French English
No.
Yeah.
combo, right?
Yeah, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's Above the Clouds. It's Gangstar featuring Inspect the Deck, a song from
okay.
one of their last albums. So because they're hip hop, like Marc Andre is a rapper, so that's why he
Yeah. There's probably a connection to music, yes, because there are a few members of Messorem were in a metal band.
Yeah.
So they're probably very music
Music
fans.
inclined. Oh, for sure. Oh yeah.
And that one is brewed with lactose and milk sugar, not milk sugar.
Emily,
Not
are you
lactose, milk sugar.
Well, that's the same thing.
are you are you team lactose?
Really? It's just because I thought it was 2 things, but it was just a translation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you team lactose? Are you
What?
are you team lactose? Are you?
Oh, yes, I am.
Fuck yeah! Boom, Noah, take that. Now Noah's team
Boom.
lactose. Noah pretends like he isn't, but he is. Yeah. All right.
All right. So I have far too many beers in the cellar. So I went for something really old.
Okay.
So this beer is older than my son. It's a
Ooh.
2012 Saint Ambroise Imperial Stout. So
That's
this
funny.
beer is
Maddie was
8
drinking that
years
today.
old.
Matt from Vox and
So-
Hops was drinking this too.
Whoa.
Why did you choose that one?
Because I wanted an Imperial Stout that was 341 milliliters because I didn't want to drink too much tonight. And it's like I have this cellar where I have shelves and shelves and shelves of beer, but I end up taking all the beer I drink off the floor because those are the ones I just got, and I forget about the stuff that's been sitting there for 8 years. So
Oh, yeah.
it needs to get drank.
I respect it. I just thought it was funny because
This
you.
beer ages well. I don't know about 8 years in. I think I had a 5-year-old version recently, and
Okay.
it smells pretty good.
Alex from Chambly said, "Here we go again about lactose." Alex, I'm kind of over it. Do you know what's really funny? I had like a really, really good milkshake IPA a couple nights ago, and I just was, I don't know if I'm not over lactose, but I think it's now, oh, look at that sexy glass right there. I feel like it's more about smoothie sours, you know?
Whoa.
Woo. Guys, cheers. Get in ya.
Caliente.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, this is killer. Man, Sankyem's double IPAs are just ridiculous. Oof.
Wow.
Noah, how's that?
I think it's past its prime, but it for an 8-year-old stout, it's doing quite well.
Yeah,
It's a bit thin. Like, what happens is I feel like over time it kind of loses its bitterness. It loses its body a little bit almost, or not necessarily its body, but it's like the flavor. It ends up tasting more watery, if that makes any sense.
I know exactly what you
But
mean.
often with stouts, it can get into like that soy sauce flavor thing, or it gets way too much tasting like sherry or like cardboard a little bit in my experience. But this doesn't have that. It's surprised. These beers, as much as Saint Ambroise does the terrible diacetyl buttery thing and a lot of their IPAs and stuff, this one, their Imperial Stout and their they don't call it a barley wine. They call it their I don't know, but they come out every year in those big cans. Right?
Yeah,
Those
I
beers
like those.
age better than some of the like any beers I've ever had. Like I've had that barley wine like 5, 6, 7 years old, and it's beautiful. But this is surprisingly good. It doesn't have any oxidized flavors. Like it just looks amazing. It's got that beautiful like espresso head going on.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's nice that it's that it still kicks in good.
Surprisingly, well, the booze is like gone completely.
What's the
So
eight?
It's 10%.
10.
But it drinks like a 6% beer right now. It's I have a whole bunch of different years, so maybe I'll start cracking them all.
Do a vertical. Just break them all open. Vertical. Do you have much of a cellar at home, Emily?
Actually, my apartment is too small, so I put everything in my fridge, and I cut on the food. No, sorry.
I actually do that. Yeah.
They were laughing, but Craig's like,
I
that's
have like a small space where I put all my food, and I need to take everything off in order to get my eggs, and everything else is beer.
I feel you.
And I have also I live in an old apartment that was renovated, but there's a one closet that is still not very well isolated. So in the winter, especially, it's like a cold room. Like
Nice.
it's what I mean. Like
Yeah,
they used to have that in the houses. Okay, so
That's what I have. That's my cellar is a cold room.
I wish I had a real one, but because in the summer it gets very hot too.
Wow.
So in the winter I can at least store some beer there. And my landlord said, "Oh, I have a huge fridge downstairs. You can store your beers there." And I'm like, "No, if I don't see them, I forget them."
Oh yeah.
So I know I can't.
Tiffany's
my fridge is
Tiffany's like, tell me about it.
huh?
Tiffany says, tell me about it. We used to have food in the fridge. Yeah. Do you know what the problem is though? And the main thing is like right behind this camera here, we had to buy it's like a big television unit. We've got the TV and then a big unit, and the whole unit is my cellar because it used to be over there on the floor. There was like 50, 60 bottles on the floor, and then Tiff had enough of it. So we put it in this, and because of COVID, I have about, I think I count, it's like 150 cans and bottles next to the bed in just boxes, plus a beer fridge, plus the food fridge is 50% beer. And the problem is that most of the beers in those fridges are shit like this that can't sit out. So only the barrel-aged sours and stouts and stuff can stay out. Everything else has to... Maybe the crispy boys can stay out too, but most things have to go in. I feel like it's an apartment. I've been to your apartment, Emily, so I know what you're talking about. I have a similar sized place.
Yeah, it's true.
Yes, very that one night with Pia. Shouts to Pia. Back when you could see humans.
What?
Remember that? Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I remember we had the Hong Kong beer that time.
yes, that was very cool.
Remember?
I remember very well.
That
Yes.
was cool.
Yeah, that was fun, man. It was cool. It was good to see. Yeah, you definitely had the whole fridge. I saw it. Your fridge was like 70% beer for sure. Yeah, it's just because everything is haze or smoothie sours or something that can't stay warm. So
They
yeah, and it makes
That's the thing that you two are in love with too.
Mm-hmm.
You two are haze boys and girls.
We are indeed. As yeah, I think you call yourself a NEIPA monster.
Yes, like the Cookie Monster. But for IPA.
But for haze. Yeah. It's
Nom 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 nom.
oh, that's gonna be the snippet right there.
Yeah, there.
That's going on the internet. Nah, man, I love it. So I need to go to the bathroom real quick, but I wanted to get into how it, just since we're talking about all this type of stuff, which is interesting. I feel like maybe we don't really talk about these things a lot on here, and it might be beneficial both for breweries and for other people just to know how all of this really weird world kind of works. Because all of us are so very different, but we also deal with a lot of the same things, which is kind of cool. Something that you do I do want to hear. I want to hear you talk about this. So I'm trying to think of something else in the meantime you can talk. I'll be back in 30 seconds, but I wanted to get into how you started working with maybe what the difference between a paid campaign and a product campaign would be for you, because we've been dealing with that as well, with both for BAOS and for TIFF's Liquid X Happiness as well. As far as if a brand pays you, what do you do versus if it's just for product. And then also we've been working with tourism offices, which is something that we do as well, and that's been a really good resource to continue travel and to do interesting things. So maybe talk about the giveaways. I noticed you've done a lot of giveaways recently. You had the big one, we had the Rallabok thing and these other boxes. You had one today with Amaral, which was super cool. Do you want to maybe talk about how those giveaways come about and how you run them and stuff? I'll be back in just a sec.
It's just because, like I said earlier, like the breweries and people were there for me. So as I was reaching for 40K, I was like, it's my turn to give back, So when breweries were bringing me beers, I was saying like, hey, can you bring me 2 extra of that one? So I'm going to add it to my package. And then I build up a package. It took like weeks to build it, but I finally did it. And this is why I decided, to do that much giveaways, because I feel like I'm receiving a lot, but don't give a lot to my fan base. So I really wanted to, give back to them, because if they were not following me, I would not be there today. So it's because of them that I'm working, and I can pull my needles out of the game, we say in French. But like be able to, because I don't work as an actress, I don't work as a performer, so it's only La Petite Bière that gives me a revenue right now. So yeah, I thought like they're there for me, they're following me, supporting me since day one, so why should I be selfish and keep it all for myself, So I said, instead of giving it to my neighbors or sharing it with my family, I'm going to share it with some beer lovers who are following me because they're probably liking beer, So,
yeah, no, it's a good idea, and I mean, it also, I imagine, helps kind of improve visibility on those posts too, which ultimately ends up. But I love the sentiment of it, and I imagine it did pretty well. Like you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially with hop culture, because I worked with them this summer and we built up a nice relationship. And
are those the glassware guys? Hop culture?
Was that, sorry?
Are they the guys that build glassware?
Yes.
No. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Hop culture. Yeah. They do like super cool glassware, and so they were very kind to me. Like because I was, I say working, but nobody was paid. Like I did I don't know if it's called a podcast, but no, a panel. I did a panel. So after that we built a relationship, and then I asked, hey, can you help me? I'm doing this giveaway, and they said, yeah, sure. What glass do you want? I was like, what? So So giveaways. I do it for me, but I also for me and my fan base, but I also doing it for the breweries. Like in my last giveaway, I said, if you follow all the breweries above, I give you a little extra in your prize. So I try, it's for my account. Yes, it's for my fans, but it's also to give extra visibility to, for example, Ralbuck. When I talked to Pea about my giveaway, it was like, oh, do you want a coffret? I was like, yeah, sure. And he gave me the coffret, and, I don't know.
Yeah, it's great.
So it's to give visibility to other breweries, to myself, of course, but also to give back to the community, because it's so important. You cannot be selfish in 2020. You cannot. You need to be kind. It's not, the Steve Jobs method. It was so popular in the 90s. You need to be rough. You need to be rough. But now it's all about kindness. And so I thought, they were so nice to me, everyone. So why shouldn't I give back to them? So
Yeah,
I like that.
That's great.
And it comes back to relationship. I missed the first part, but it sounds like it's all about relationships once again.
Of course, always.
I like that a lot. Last year, whenever we've done a giveaway, I've always reached out to breweries to be like, hey, do you want to be a part of it? And, you know, whatever they give me, I don't get any of it. I'm giving it away to the people and shipping it out and making sure that they followed them all as well. And I think that wouldn't have been able to happen if it wasn't for those relationships. So I definitely agree that that's super important. And I feel like giveaways are cool. I think they're a really great way to grow your account. They're a great way to get to partner. I feel like the partners in the giveaways, so say a content creator like yourself, any brand that partners with you is definitely going to get a lot of value from doing that.
Yes, especially when my followers are super engaged. Like, it's great to have likes on your pictures, but you need to look at the comments, you know? If people just like your picture and not comment, but it brings comments, so it brings value to them as well. Like, I did the giveaway, and all he had to do was following me and Carl. And Carl gained like almost 500 followers.
That's crazy.
Jesus.
Which is crazy, you know? So I'm glad I can bring my super engaged followers to another crowd, you know? This is what I like.
Hey, you want to do a Beerism giveaway?
Of course, whenever you want, man. I'm super open to it. Yes.
I like that.
It didn't fall into a deaf ear. I'm gonna hear about it.
Okay, we'll make it a 3-way giveaway then. All right, let's do that. No, I think I even like the collab giveaways and stuff.
Let's do a big giveaway.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Giveaways.
We were going to do one. So every year on Saturday, me and Matt started last year. Matt from Vox and Hops, we did a top 10 breweries in Quebec for the year. We did a giveaway. We did a whole thing. It was a different time a year ago, obviously. This year, we're bringing Noah into that. Noah's doing the blog. I'm doing the video. Matt's doing the podcast. We decided not to do a giveaway. It was just a bit much to organize. But I feel like if there's something cool I feel like the three of us, that would make a lot of sense. I feel like we could do something cool, bring in a couple of brands and do something. Yeah. Let's talk about that. That's actually really, really cool. Because even Tiff was saying the other day, she's like, we should do, and I noticed you've been doing a lot of them, and some have been on my mind. Tiff the other day, was like, yeah, we should do a giveaway. Why haven't we done a giveaway for a while? I'm like, fuck, you're right. And then I've been seeing you do it so much. So I think it'd be fun to do a collaborative one because once again, everybody wins when we know that there's a return for everyone. Whenever we do them, everybody wins. I see the numbers. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the interesting thing that you do that very few people I see do is work with tourism offices and other big brands like that. How did you start doing that, and how does that work for people who don't really know about that? I mean, it's a weird time for that too, being that no one's fucking traveling, so... Or shouldn't be traveling.
Well, it started. Well, like you said, when you started, you were buying lots of beers, and then gradually you bought less, and you were receiving more. It's the same thing with travel. So at first, I was like, okay, but you need to be focused on what you want to do. Like for me, it's more the East Coast, and I focus towards that all the time, and I don't get that much paid gig for trips, but it's getting there slowly. You know, it's local, and then it goes bigger. And I went to Cooperstown in New York, you know, in New York State. So yeah, I think it's just, don't forget, for example, when I do a post when I'm in New York City, before I post, I go check what is the tourism office. Do they have an Instagram account? What is the city tourist office? Do they have an Instagram account? What is the foodie biggest blog for New York? What is the, I don't know, like New York spotter, or for if I'm in Brooklyn Bridge, do they have an Instagram? So I try to tag as much tourism thing that I can do, and gradually they start noticing me and then reach out to me, but it's very slow, especially with COVID because nobody travels.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you need to, once again, give. You know, I tag them, I give them visibility on my account. So it is like that. And how I got the Umagang gig was because of that, because I was always revolving around New York. And at first the guy was like, "Oh, Canada." And I was like, "No, I'm from Canada." And he was like, "Well, too late. I already hired you."
Right.
So yeah. So
He just assumed you wanted to write half your posts in French.
see, people,
They don't do their research, maybe. Or
yeah, that's
No.
why I'm saying like breweries need to dig deeper.
Yeah.
It was all to my advantage.
something.
in that
Exactly. I was
case.
gonna say maybe they don't.
Which is well, actually, no, don't dig deeper.
Don't at all. Just go for the people with the stove beer photos. That's plenty. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an interesting world as well. That was the thing. Like, travel is so expensive, and that's why we've saved so
Yes.
fucking much money this year, because we haven't gone anywhere. But working with tourism offices has been a really interesting way to fund trips and stuff. We've been able to go to crazy places because of it, like Colorado, Virginia, like those Vermont. Like, they will send you out and stuff, even if you don't get paid. They cover everything. It's pretty cool, but it's something that for the most part, it basically it's good and local. Do you know what's interesting? You said start locally and go bigger. We tried crickets. We went big. Colorado flew us out 2 weeks. Obscene. So I feel like the interesting thing is the Canadian local ones don't understand it like the American ones do, which is something that I learned. The American ones, they were more picky because we cover liquid, and if that state doesn't, we were very targeted. Colorado, Virginia, Vermont, all very big on beer and stuff. But like, they have to understand. Like, even we've worked with Canton de l'Est, which is the Eastern Townships kind of one, and Sherbrooke and stuff. Like, they got it because they have a big beer scene out there. But a lot of the ones that don't really see the value, like, they have to understand it. So that's, I like that they're still open to do that, at least even recently. Because I guess they would have their budgets. I thought they would have a lot of their budgets cut because they would be having less income from people being there, therefore less money to spend on marketing efforts. So it's an interesting time for that type of thing. The other thing that I want to ask you about that you do, which is similar to Tiffany's blog platform, is that you work with spirits, like probably cider. I don't know if you do coffee, but you do other things outside of beer. Tell us about that. Like, how did that come about? Why did you sort of expand outside of beer?
Because before I started my blog, and when I was only drinking white beer,
good old Blanche.
I was into gin a lot, and I was very into gin before Colorado brought me. Brought me to the beer scenery. But after a while, I was like, hey, I do like gin, and I feel like about democratization of the beer. Like, you know what I mean by democratize? Like,
it's more available for everybody, and it's more people know about it.
Yeah, well, beer is still very underground, but spirits are more out there, let's say. So I noticed when I'm posting about spirits, people are more inclined to they add value to the post. They're less shy to ask questions. People feel more comfortable with hard liquor than beers. Like, beer is still very shady for Mr. and Madame everyone, But spirits, it's been part of our culture for so long, and it's more accepted.
Yeah.
For example, I was doing a commercial in Toronto, and I said, the producer asked us, hey, what are you going to do in your free time? I said, I'm going to go visit Bellwoods and this and that. And the producer looked at me like, are you going to be okay for the filming tomorrow? We roll at 5:30, and I was like, if I was talking about wine or spirits, I would, for example, I'm going to go to LCBO to do a little shopping. That's what I told her. I'm going to go to Bellwoods to do a little shopping. Like, beer, there's still this stigma that you see the big bonhomme at the slot machine is smoking a cigarette and drinking it. It's still so, there's so much préjugés, so much stigma around beer that you don't find around hard liquor, spirits. So that's why I talk about spirits, so I can bring people of the spirit world inside the beer world by talking once in a while about spirits. Because my ultimate goal with my blog is when I'm gonna be, a very wrinkled woman, super rich. I want to have beer everywhere, in my plane, in my hotel, in my 5-star restaurant. No, we cannot say 5-star. In my Michelin restaurant.
There you go.
Like, I want my card of beer everywhere I go. So this is why I do that, to attract people from other circles. That's why I also post a lot about beer and food pairings, because food, everyone, foodies and stuff. There's so many food bloggers. So I want to, attract them to see that you can have beer and be intelligent, be cultivated, and, and I want to show them like the symphony of flavors that you can have with beer, because people think it's only lagers and black beers and white beers. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So this is why I post on a not so different topic. I try to stay focused. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about jewelry or buttocks, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm still trying to stay in my circle.
In your little box. Yeah.
But otherwise, in your personal life, you talk about Botox constantly, though, right? Like, that's
Yeah, you just won't stop.
You don't see how much Botox I have. I'm super sad right now. You cannot see me.
Well played.
You touched on so many things there, so many really interesting things, and I think I'm assuming breweries understand the value that you're bringing, but if they don't, I think you just kind of spelled it out, whether you were trying to or not, in the sense that a lot of you're an actress. I don't know exactly what else you do. I see you in a lot of, like, with these extravagant outfits. I don't know if it's like...
It's performance
or whatever.
Yeah.
I imagine most of the people that you interact with aren't bearded beer nerds in that scene, right? Sorry. Or even... And I not to paint everyone in the same brush or whatever, but I assume the craft beer scene hasn't infiltrated a lot of those people quite a lot. It's probably slowly getting there to a certain degree. But anyway, all this to say, you have this wide group of friends and acquaintances, I'm sure, and you're by you focusing so much on craft beer, you're bringing all these people into trying these things. I see, like, your pictures. I'm assuming you just sneak in these IPAs into these places when you're not even supposed to, or whatever, because you're taking a photo with your friends in the stage area or whatever, and you're doing IPA. Like, they're not selling dumbass there.
The best for that. Like, he give me permission to bring my empty cans. This is why I always write at the end of the post, because of the law, the can was empty. It was a dummy, But yeah, I got the best boss ever. You let me bring, and even sometimes I have a non-alcoholic beer, so I can bring the whole beer. And I got a super boss. He opens me the gate of all the costumes, and I can wear whatever I want. And no, I'm very lucky for that. Yes, and I also. This is why, I bring beers, and then the other artists are like, oh, okay, it's brewed in Montreal. And then I'm like, yeah. Well, after the shift, you come in my car, we're going to share one. And yeah, we did that so many times. Great memories. I miss Levitt.
You also find, though, they're like, oh, where can I buy this? And you're like,
yes!
Oh, you can.
Yeah, you
can buy this. You're not finding.
I know.
That's my favorite. I had a friend message me on Twitter today. I just did my album. My last EP was with this producer in Cambridge, Ontario, and he goes to some different breweries out there, and he was commenting on, I drank a brewski last night, a brew juice. It's like, man, you keep posting these beers that look like juice. He's like, which one should I get in the LCBO? I'm like, oh, bro. Let me tell you. Let me tell you about smoothie sours for a second. It's kind of cute.
You're talking about post fermentation, and then you just lose them.
And then I'm like, yeah. So anyway, the fruit is added post, so it's actually be a cocktail, yeah. And they just, I feel like it makes me feel like an asshole all the time because people go, oh, I want to get that. I'm like, oh, you absolutely cannot get this. Like, not because I'm good, but I had to go through a lot to get this fucking beer type of thing, you know. It's a one downside of beer, and that's what I was going to say before, because you made a good point about spirits bringing everyone together, because for the most part, if you're drinking a Montreal, like Quebec has some of the best gins I've ever had. Amazing. All the small batch gins, disgusting here. But they're available for the most part at SAQ and things like that. But for the beer, you just can't get it everywhere. And I think that might be part of the stuff, because people might be like, if you've got people who follow you from the States, they're like, oh, she's posting this Montreal stuff again, whatever. I can't get it. You know what I mean? Because even I find myself doing that. Now I'm not traveling, I'm paying less attention to what's happening elsewhere because I just don't care. Like, I'm like, I'm not going to be in Vermont next month now, so I don't care. Post it. Fuck you. I don't want to see your good-ass beer that you're drinking. So that's one problem with beer that is kind of frustrating, is the lack of accessibility, I guess, for everybody. But then it's also, if people looked in their own backyard, they'd probably be able to find the equivalent. But maybe for the people who are newer to the world and they're discovering your account or whatever, they might not know all this stuff. Also, tell us what you're cracking.
I'm cracking one of my favorite Imperial Stouts.
I've never had that one.
And the main reason why I like it, it's because it's 7.9%.
Ooh.
Because you see how big I am? I cannot drink a 12% can to myself. So when I went to L'Ours Brun, Bruno told me about that beer, and I was like, what? Like, this is my Imperial Stout. You should have called it Stout Impériale La Petite Bière instead of Russe, because, like, wow, because this is the main problem with me. Like, I cannot buy a 12% Imperial Stout. I mean, I'm going to be wasted if I drink that all by myself. So this is a great alternative for people that doesn't support high ABV beers. So, yeah, it's a very great compromise, you know.
Nice. I also love, and I think breweries need to do more of these. And I think it's kind of having a comeback lately, but like double stouts or robust porters.
What's a double stout?
Like are on the double stout is somewhere usually around like 8, 9 max, but even as low as 7.5 or whatever. And then you have like robust porters that can be like 7, 7.5. I love those beers. I love Imperial Stouts at 10, 11, 12%, like I do, but I also love something a bit more in between, because it's just this fun compromise, right? Like, you can even drink it out of a pint glass at that point, right? Like, it can be something that you're not like sipping like it's brandy, you're actually drinking it like a beer, but it still has that richness and that thickness. And I feel like that 7.5 to 8.5 range, you can still get that. Like Third Moon's, their stouts are all double stouts, Craig. Well, they've done a bunch of Imperial, but the first one they released, the coffee one, that's a double stout.
Each piece to God.
Okay. Yeah.
That was so. Go on, Em.
Yeah, well, I really enjoy that stout too, because like, I don't know why they should do like smaller cans.
Yes.
They told me why, because it takes so much space into the warehouse and stuff. But yeah,
I gotta
That's
actually.
Why I've always loved it.
Pre-COVID, I was sharing. You know, it was easy. Oh, I can get a 14% Imperial Stout. I don't care. I'm gonna share it with for like another couple, but alone, it's just
It's too much. Do you know what's
too
interesting? The other
Yeah.
night, Noah and I did a podcast with Brasserie Generale last week, and they had a new Oreo pastry stout that was 10%. But they made, for me, Noah and Matt, they just for the podcast, they put it in a 355 ml can just for the podcast, so that we didn't have to crack the 750. And I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever had. Like, it's just enough for me. And that's all I need, and I'm good. And I was able to finish most of it. Tiff helped me out a bit, but I was able to do it because we had a bunch of other beers. But I really think that big stouts, like we were talking about it, I think Oscar Blues 1050 was the first one in a small can. And I've seen a Collective Arts latest Origins of Darkness are now in the short cans. So I feel like Imperial Stouts in short cans has got to be a 2021
Yeah.
thing that's going to
Well,
happen.
Beauregard does it.
Beauregard, great example.
Yeah, they
do
do.
it.
The Red Bull cans.
Great example, yeah.
Yes. And
Like,
there
bravo, Beauregard, if you listen to us, like, keep doing this, please.
Please, Cedric,
Because
please.
an Imperial Stout is so expensive as well because it takes so long to make. I'm not gonna pay $16 for a can that I'm gonna pour half of it in the drink because I cannot drink it, not because I don't like it. Messorem did it too. They released small bottles of 375 milliliters of stout, Imperial Stout. It was $13, which is great because 750 milliliters would be like
25 plus 30.
Yeah, and I wouldn't drink it, I wouldn't buy it, but the 375 is more appealing for me, and I'm sure for you too, because sometimes you don't want to. We don't. I when we get older, I don't like to be drunk. When I was 20, I was like, but now.
No, I mean, I wish everything was like 200 milliliters.
Yes, me too.
That way I can be like, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try this.
Yes.
But
Like
yeah, it's I kind of get why
Flights
they do
for
it
home.
too. It's what's that?
You say flights for home, like as in like the volume of a flight in like those mini Coke cans that are like
I know.
like that big.
Yeah, it's so small. Yes.
I never thought of that.
Bière, I talked about that with Bière. I was like, I have this idea. I could do like flights you can bring home. And he was like, no, it's not going to work. I was like, why? He said, those big cans, how much space they take? I was like, yeah. Well, imagine you have 4 of them or 3 of them in one can. So it's 3 times more space. You need to have a warehouse for that, and breweries don't want to store that. So I was like, okay.
Well, there's that. There's also
think of the bottles. The bottles are this tall.
But it's not just space. I imagine it's like if you're a brewery, you want your consumers to buy larger volumes of things, right? Because if they brewed that, then you could just buy one of those, right, and then spend far less. So I think that's part of it too. There's also, I think, also like a psychological component to the 750 milliliter bottle. Whereas you grab a 750 milliliter bottle, I think it reminds you of wine. You're more inclined to spend $20 on it.
Yeah.
Whereas then if you cut that in half, or even put it at 500 mils. So if imagine a pastry stout in a can, and they're charging $15 for it. You'd probably be like $15 for a non-barrel aged stout in a can. I think most people, even us as beer geeks, right away it's like alarms going like, well, it's just too much money. That's the $15 for a can. But then we all spent, $20 for that Buck Canada Imperial Stout pastry stout, or the Messorem ones too. So I think there's that element of it as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I love that idea, and I think it would be great, especially for the high peak. Like, if it's a Saturday and I crack open a 750 barley wine at like 3 p.m. and have a glass and then put it aside, and then 3 hours later I come back. Like, that's what I usually do. That's fine. But like, if I'm trying to review beers and it's Tuesday night, honestly, it goes down the drain.
That's it.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
the wine stoppers work well, though.
If it's something I'm paying for, I'm not going to probably drain it unless I don't like it. But if it's given to me and I have like a time constraint and I need to get through all this content or whatever, either I invested in one of these anyway, it's over there, but like the oxygen things.
Yeah, I know.
I use one of those now, so that I can have a little bit more the next day. But what ends up happening is I drink half of it, I put it in the fridge, I do the thing, I put it in the fridge, and the next day is like, no, I need to drink these.
Another one.
3 days later, I open it and I dump it down the drain. I'm like,
God damn it.
useless.
Yeah, there are. I think that's why we all have cellars. That's the problem, because there's just no time to really drink it. Like it's so much. Even the other night, I had to do beer 6,000. I do my little thing, and I had the 6,000th beer, and I just got. My friend works at Bellwoods. He hooked me up with their.
I'm jealous you got that. I wanted to try that guy.
It was
It's not that
intense.
fast.
Oh yeah, it's not that fast, but I split a bit of it with Tiff, and I still had to drain even a little bit of it because it was too much.
Oh,
It
it
was,
was just right?
dude, it was so much, and it was like I only had that night. I'm trying to get through stuff because I'm going to Toronto for Christmas and New Year's and staying at Tiff's mum's and not going anywhere, but I'm trying to get through stuff, and I was like, all right, let me just plow through things. It was just like I felt pretty shitty yesterday after drinking it, but it was so intense, and I'm realizing pastry stouts are just they are a shareable, even if it's 500 ml, they are a shareable beer, man. Like it's definitely too much, and I was trying to avoid it, but there's not many circumstances where you can drink that to yourself, and that's the problem. Like if
It
I'm
has
gonna
to be a long period of time. You have to do what I do, where because I know what you end up doing, Craig, is we have like different approaches. You take days off,
I do,
but
yeah.
then the days that you're on, you do a lot of beers.
Oh, I go in.
Whereas I don't really take days off, but I don't generally do a lot of beers in one day. Or if I do, I'm starting at noon. You know what I mean? Sorry, like, and that sounds worse, but what I mean is like I'll have a beer at like 1 in the afternoon, and then another one at 5, and then like if it's a weekend, maybe I'll have another one in the evening or something. So it's like there's all this space, and so I'm not even like the alcohol's gone. So or I'll crack open the 750 pastry stout at 2 in the afternoon and have a glass, and then have another glass in the evening. So like I'm not gonna say I've burned off all those carbs, but like it's not like like drinking a giant glass of that like crazy sugar water. It doesn't hit me in the same way. I don't feel shitty the next day. Whereas what I will say is after these podcasts I often do, because we cram 3 beers
into 2 hours, 3 hours.
Even though it's 2 or 3 hours, I feel like if I do back-to-back beers, I feel like shit the next day. Whereas if I do a beer at 2 in the afternoon and then one at 5 and then one at 8, I don't even notice anything. It's like my body recovers, but when you back-to-back like that, it just fucks me up.
So you do the same volume as I do. I mean, yeah, you're only like a year older than me, but I do understand. Like, I get it. I find that the days off are so important to recovery.
Yeah.
This year I've been sick less than I've ever been, and I think it's because of last night I actually broke it because I'm going away and
Could be because you're not seeing anybody ever.
Oh yeah, I'm not traveling. I'm not seeing anybody. There's no exchange of germs. So yes, I think that's true as well. So traveling and seeing humans, and then regulating my drinking. Because what I used to do before, and this is to all you, I don't know if you guys do the same. I was like drinking. My immune system is a pussy. It's shit. Like I feel like I get sick quite. You got the same thing. So I'd like to hear your routine, Emily. Actually, so what I do is now I don't drink on Sunday, Monday, and I don't drink Wednesday. So I drink Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And all the podcasts are on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I'm good. And those 2 days off in a row help me recover after a 3-day run. And the thing is, so now I'm going to have the stout that we're going to drink, and I won't finish it during the podcast. Then after the stout, I'm going to have some smoothies or some shit because I need to get them out. I have to have another couple of beers because I don't have a fucking choice because otherwise everything's going to explode in my fridge. So I'm like, always stressed about beer. I'm always stressed about content. I'm always stressed about trying to get through things that breweries have been so kind to give me. But I found that being strict about my drinking days, before I used to keep drinking and I'd wake up in the morning and go, I think I'm going to get a cold today. And then I'd stop drinking. And then I'd start again. And I was sick all the time. Now with my new pattern, all since March, I get run down a bunch. The weather's minus 25 yesterday or something. So I feel shit now, but not sick. I just feel tired, like everyone feels tired when the weather is terrible. But this very strict adherence to, oh no, I don't drink Sundays, man. Sorry, I can't do it. Is been very healthy for me personally, and I've enjoyed it. So I'd be curious to if you have like Noah was saying, maybe drinks every day but spreads it out. I cram it into 4 days a week. What's your pattern now?
I share.
Okay.
So I drink half a beer to a beer almost every day, but like my instinct is good. Sometimes my body just don't feel like drinking beer, and I listen to it.
Good.
And I try to share as much as possible. So I have a common door with my neighbors. So sometimes I just knock and say, hey, I have this. It's super good, but it's too much. I have the rest. And right now I'm with my family. So, for example, with Émilie, I just got the rum ale. My daddy is a super fan of rum. I was, hey, daddy, try the rum ale. So we share it. We split it in 3. So, yeah, I try to share as much as I can. And with Carl as well. So I would be tempted to say that it's very instinctive, and I try to share as much as possible, and I try to not force myself because as I say, my mother raised me well, and she told me not to not spill and not to waste anything. And yeah, so I try to, listen to my body and say, okay, it's okay, Émilie, it's super good, like it's my favorite one, but you need to drain it because you want to wake up at 7 tomorrow, So It's pretty instinctive, I would say.
I like that. Actually, on that note, that's actually a really good point. People like us, part of our jobs is to promote beer, wine, liquor, whatever, alcoholic products to people. And that's something that we do because we support small businesses. But one part of it that doesn't get spoken about a lot is that balance, is that responsibility to drink, smart, and to do that. Do you guys have either of you guys have any tips as far as like, the way that you're able to drink, still enjoy all of these products and support these businesses, but also do it responsibly and to keep balance and health in mind as well? Do you guys have any thoughts or tips on that?
Well, I'm trying a lot more to talk about my coup de cœur without alcohol. So I talk about Jupiter gin without alcohol. I try to, go and try to find beers that are really appealing without alcohol. So what I often do is that I start with a non-alcoholic beer. I chug it. And then, okay, let's start with the real beer, So for me, it feels like I already had one beer, so I can only have another one, Even if it's non-alcoholic, for me, it helps set the pace.
It's like the mental.
And that's why I like...
It's like the mental side of it. It makes you feel like you've had more than one.
Oui.
Wow,
my brain is super easy to trick.
No, that's actually quite smart. So are you saying, Émilie, then that you don't drink more than maybe 2 beers every time you drink? Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
exactly. And well, except pre-COVID when I was gathering a lot of friends and we were, having tasting nights.
Fun and
Yeah, but I tried to limit myself. Actually, I tried to limit myself to 1 pint. Like today, it's gonna be an exception because I'm gonna have 2. But I try to share as much as I can.
That's good.
So I can have 4 beers, but I need 4 friends so I can have 1 pint.
Okay, and why do you do that? Is it just so that you don't get too drunk, or so that you don't use too much calories?
In French, we have an expression that's called a shoemaker that doesn't wear great shoes. Like when you do, like I talk about beer, but I'm super like faggy. Like I drink two pins, and I'm sick. Like my body doesn't stand well alcohol, so
Okay.
I cannot exaggerate it. And I have a few alcoholics in both sides of my family, so I saw like very
No.
oof, I
Wow.
was shy for them, when they were
Yeah.
doing things in public places. So I thought I learned very
Early
young that
on, yeah.
when you abuse alcohol, like, oof, I saw, yeah. I cannot talk because one of them is not dead yet, and I don't want to, be
I
Yeah.
mean,
respect.
but yeah. My grandfather on my mother's side, like he used to be so embarrassing, and yeah, so for all those reasons, and plus I cannot stand it physically. Like when I drink, not even too much. When I drink more than 2 pins, I'm sick. So I need. That's why I love flights, small, cans. So yeah, I have a very good instinct about, how does my body feel? I'm gonna stop right now. So yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. Noah, what do you do then, as far as like so? What's your sort of way to balance stuff out?
Um.
Sorry.
Oh, Noah,
Oh,
To know
you
the
what?
same
you
question,
you
but to
asking
Noah. Yeah.
me?
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to get by, man. um. I don't know. Like, I think in my youth, uh, I was a huge party guy, and when I say that, I mean like I liked alcohol, I liked drugs, I liked getting fucked up.
A.
From a pretty early age until my late 20s. Um, and then since the craft beer thing, having a family, and then that obviously changing a lot of
Mm,
that. But still, like me and Jenny are like we've always enjoyed partying. We always enjoyed socializing. We have dinner parties and these things. And so when we moved out to Il Perot, that changed a little bit because like a lot of our friends are in Montreal, and coming out here, it's a different dynamic. And then you throw kids into the mix, and it's a whole thing. But I like the whole craft beer journey kind of started when I had my son 8 years ago. Because before that, I just drank whatever, and it was more wine at dinner parties and whatever beers, typical that stuff everyone drank. Um, so like I can't be getting loaded with my children, right? So that right there just keeps me in check to a certain degree. But also my children want make me want to get loaded. So it's like that balance of things.
Balance.
And it's like it depends on the day, because some days I'm like the drinking is helping me, and some days it's not. It's kind of the like and that's why like if I have nothing to do that day and I'm hanging out with my kids, I'll have a beer and like enjoy my time with them. And sometimes it helps me like they drive you insane, so sometimes it just takes the edge off and you're like, all right, let's just hang it, all right, let's come.
oh yeah.
Or sometimes it makes me more angry, but like I don't know. I don't think I think I've always had a good kind of like conscious level of where I'm at with alcohol and stuff, and I have a partner who would keep me in check if I wasn't, I would hope. So like I'm not too happy that I have a daily thing going with booze, but like I try not to do more than one a day. Although during
Right.
COVID, that one has kind of turned to two a lot of the time. But before COVID, it was always one a day, and then on the weekends have one or two. But yeah, like the having a family and having like to cook every meal for 4 people, and just like it's just like it's constant, right? So like there's no like I'm gonna just get tanked. Like it's just not gonna happen. Um, But you also have to watch yourself, because when you are that busy and you're constantly doing stuff, you can just keep drinking and just getting used to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have problems there too. So it's just trying to find a balance a little bit. I'd like to be incorporating more exercise, because COVID has caused a little bit of weight gain. There's no question
Tell
there.
me about
Um,
it.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of trying to keep myself in check, and it's hard, because like we talked about, the pressure of trying to get this content out all the time.
Yes.
It's a lot.
And like I have a neighbor who's from England, and he's like an old school dude, and he's awesome. We're good buddies. He's a bit older. He's like in his 50s. And like he's flabbergasted that I can keep a cellar, because he's to him he's like, no, that would just get drank. And even Craig, we have friends in the beer scene who are like, all the beer would be gone, right? So like
They don't know.
fact that I have like 500 beers in a room blows people's minds. So I think that's I got something going for me, right? Because like they're not drank.
You're controlling yourself.
Doing okay.
Yeah. I didn't know though. I'm glad we asked this question, because I didn't know that. Because we have a group chat, and like you would send the picture, and I thought that was the first of 4 beers you drink that night. But maybe that was the only beer that you'd be drinking. This is absolutely the first I'm hearing of this, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. Because what you drink in a full week, I drink in like 2 nights. Because I'll try and have, I could probably do 4 to 5 a night, and not draining stuff. Probably 4 comfortably, and not drain it. Some nights, if you see me post a bunch of beers, like if you see me post 7 or 8 beers, that got drained. That absolutely got drained. Because I need to get through the content. And I feel that constant pressure, because my shit is building up, and I'm in a small apartment with nowhere to put these things, and it's taken up 2 different fridges plus half my bedroom, and it's getting ridiculous. And I want to also do right by the breweries, and I'm like, but I refuse to drink anymore and do those, drink more than my 4 nights a week, because I'm not going to risk my health anymore. Whereas before I was getting sick, and this is the best year for that. So I didn't know that. And also, Emily, I didn't know that you were only drinking pieces. So I think that's something. But think about it, right? Like, I know I speak to Noah daily, but Emily, I feel like I know you well enough that I would have known that. So that means on the surface, people don't know. They would look at us and think we're all fucking alcoholics because of how much we post, and how, even if we have a full glass, we're only drinking that much of the glass. People don't know that. And they might be concerned that we're doing that. So I feel like that's an interesting conundrum that the beer industry or the alcohol industry needs to potentially look at. Because there's maybe a lack of transparency, not because we are hiding something, but it's not spoken about. No one cares what the 3 of us do to manage our alcohol consumption. They just care about our thoughts on the product. So, like, to know that Noah drinks 1 beer a night, and to know that, Emily, you don't drink any more than 2 pints and only have a fraction of a bunch of different beers, and that I regulate mine to 4 nights a week, no excuses, minimal excuses. Like, people don't know that, and it might come across completely different. So I wonder, is there a different responsibility that we have? Should we be, and not announcing it, but talking about that a little more, maybe?
I don't know.
Well,
sorry, I've been holding in this pee for like
go. Yeah, man.
Well, I think it's you don't have to shove it down their throats. No. For example, what I try to do is, when I share, for example, I like to do a lot of beer memes or, like beer jokes. And I always try to go for beer joke that doesn't sound like, doesn't talk about overconsumption of alcohol. I try to talk about non-alcoholic beers. I try to do beer and food pairings, So I don't say like, hey, don't overconsume, but I try to set an example like, look, I have a healthy lifestyle, but I can still enjoy beer and have a beer a night, So yeah, I try to not to, slap the wrist of the people who drink too much, but just tell them like, hey, I can have this healthy lifestyle. I try to, yeah, to always focus, not for, what I mean,
I know
like not
exactly.
saying like yeah. So I don't, the joke, if I find a beer meme where the people is making a joke about getting too drunk, or I will laugh at it, but I won't share it because I don't want to set a bad example for my followers.
Right. That's really smart. Then how do you have like an exercise or workout regimen or anything like that? Or do you work out, or do you just manage your beer
Yeah,
consumption so it's
well,
not a problem?
way less since COVID, but before that I was a performer, so I was dancing 4 hours a night, 3 times a week. So, hey, sometimes I was drinking like this. Oh my god, I'm putting sweat on the people under me because I was dancing on a platform, like a 20 feet platform, and when I was dancing, my sweat was going everywhere. So, but since COVID, I'm not training that much. I try to walk as much as I can, not using the car, but I also try to have a healthy diet. So I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan. I call myself a flexitarian,
Yes.
but I try to go for vegetarian or vegan options when I can. But when I'm with my mother-in-law, she's 80 years old and she's cooking me hams and stuff, I'm not gonna say, "Oh no, I'm vegan." No, no, no. I have no food allergy. I mean, so yeah, I try to have a healthy diet and to be as much vegetarian as I can, because you can get full, but the calories are
So much less.
lower.
Yo, Tiff did
Yeah.
a vegan November, so I didn't do the full month with her, but I did the dinner meals with her. I didn't change any of my dinner meals, and
Uh-huh.
it was we've done it. We were vegan for a couple of years, so like it wasn't too bad. And I was
Okay.
like, I hit, same as Noah, like you're saying about the COVID weight. I hit over 200 pounds, and I was like, fuck, I'm 5'11", and I told my friends, my boys, I was like, yo, I hit two, and they're like 6'3", 6'4", and they were like, bro, you cannot be weighing more than us here. And my friend gave me his login to this workout app called Beachbody, and I've been doing that every day for like 2 months. I lost 14 pounds now. I'm like, it's significantly changed. I do it every day. I stopped eating cookies all the time. I stopped eating chips. I stopped eating ice cream, and just beer is my sweet little treat. And I found that it's helping. Oh yeah. Ooh, I want some ruffles so bad.
So Noah,
Tell me about your ruffles.
what are you doing to keep your line?
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my next beer. While you're talking about it.
I actually don't snack a lot. I actually don't really ingest any sugar. I only drink water, black coffee, and beer. So the only sugar I get is from beer. Chips are probably the only junk food I eat. But the big challenge for me is the kids, because I have a partner who is a pretty picky eater and has a dairy allergy, and then I have 2 kids who are extremely picky eaters. So that and then like just having to cook for a household, it's mentally exhausting to try and cook healthily, especially when your kids refuse to eat anything healthy, right? So
Yeah.
so for the last few years, our dinners are very they're sporadic, and they're either like as generic and processed as you can possibly imagine, or fun and completely vegan. Last night we had I think it's called a panzanella. So like I roasted butternut squash and Brussels sprouts and made homemade croutons, and then covered that with like a vinaigrette with pickled onions on top. You know what I mean? So it's like a fun. I did a little parmesan on top of that because I'm not allergic to freaking dairy. But so a meal like that, and then the next day it's like I'm cooking the kids' craft dinner, and I'm trying to make something for my partner, and then I'm just like eating craft dinner. And like it's kind of a nightmare because I used to be a big foodie, but not so much anymore. It's actually funny. When we bought this house, I was a huge foodie, and we bought this house. It came with a Wolf stove, which is like a $6,000 professional propane stove that I mostly cook craft dinner and basically all the basics, like the basic nonsense on. So it's like I moved here to have this beautiful kitchen with this like industrial stove to cook like all the stuff that I don't want to cook. But yeah, I could probably go veg, but it would be impossible. Like my kids don't eat anything. Yeah. The only thing my kids want to eat is ground beef at this point. So I'm eating a ton of beef now. They want spaghetti sauce. My son loves hamburgers, spaghetti meat sauce, and burritos. But like all those three things, like nothing else, just meat and cheese, or meat and tomato sauce, or meat on a burger with ketchup. Like, and there's no condiments. There's nothing else. So anyway, yeah. That's my diet. My diet all over the place. But before that,
Craig,
like,
I'm very curious to have your impression on that beer.
Yes, Tiffany's just gonna take a photo of it next to the Christmas tree.
Yes.
And then I'm gonna tell you. And then I'm gonna tell you all about it.
That's on that guy.
Yeah, it's
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, that was the school thing. That's actually really funny though. That's all your kid wants to eat. Like I feel like
what's that?
Like you're just saying the all your kid wants to eat is the ground beef and blah blah blah. It's
that's recent. Before that, it was so much less. It was just chicken nuggets or chicken figures, or whatever. He only eats one vegetable, which is cucumber.
Which cucumber?
He'll eat cucumber and he'll eat baby carrots sometimes, but that's it.
Okay.
I hated vegetables as a kid too, man. My parents used to force me to eat that shit, but like, it's different when you're a kid. But I guess at our sort of age, like Emily, what you said before about the calories, because that's what Tiff said to me. She was like, if you go and have chicken wings and then have like the vegan fake chicken wings, the difference is really just the calories. And that's I needed was calories.
And then sometimes they're just as high or if not higher.
Well, I guess that's probably where you need to be educated and get the right stuff. Because do you know what I noticed? I got some vegan friends, and they were like one of my friends. He came from the States and stayed with us a couple times. And when he was here, we just ate vegan with him to make it easier, right? Because it didn't bother us. And he was eating so shit. There were so many things as a vegan that they were doing that were lazy, that they weren't doing it right, and they were ended up just costing themselves. Like they were just eating poor quality food because they didn't make things for themselves. Like we weren't real vegans, but we were making this. He's like, "What? You make that? We just buy it like that." I'm like, "Nah, you're buying it. You're getting all the sugar and all that stuff. We're just making this stuff. It's not that hard. We weren't very good with that." So I find that a lot of people don't. If you can make more things, like you've got that industrial stove, I know the type you're talking about. Those things are awesome. We found that was good. Here you go, Tiff's is saying. She said plant-based is less calorically dense than meat-based products, is what she was saying. And fake food versus real food can have the same calories. So I guess if you're having, like, we just tried to put a vegetable first, or have a lot of lentil soups, or we're not really big on tofu because tofu is really kind of fake food. I don't mind if we're ordering out or whatever, and you go to those. Yeah, but like
mixed feeling about tofu as well.
Yeah, it's tasty if it's cooked right, but it's a little strange. And it was just more like if you can replace the meat with other things that are whether it's lentils or something like that, it's just super interesting. And I found that eating vegan mixed with cutting out a lot of the sugar, and my main source of sugar is beer, and then doing the workouts 5 to 6 days a week, I lost 14 pounds in, 4 weeks, 6 weeks. and that made such a difference to my IPA tits, to my gut. Like I was, that's what they are. In men, IPA, like hops cause growth there. And I feel like now I'm doing this boxing one now, so it's just all this, and I feel like not only could I beat people up finally, but I feel a little, it's working and it doesn't annoy me. And in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a priority. Even if there's work, like client stuff that needs to be done, I have to do this. And I'm sticking to it because I don't want to feel like that anymore. And I felt terrible when I was going too much. And then now just balancing the beer with food, with like a diet and a bit of exercise has made life a little smoother. And also because there's a routine. I didn't have a routine outside of COVID because I was traveling so much, and I imagine it was similar for you, Emily. I know, Noah, you're at work and stuff, but Emily, you're moving around. We were moving around. And it was, I think, Noah, you were right, what you said before, like I was getting sick because I'm always around people and doing things, and maybe you're there, you meet someone, take a sip of this. We're not ever doing that again. It's fucking after COVID. Like, no one's sharing a beer glass anymore. So, like, there's...
Yeah.
You know?
Like, shit kind of makes me sad when I think about, like... Sorry, I don't mean to,
That's
like,
okay.
drastically shift the conversation, but I've been thinking about this recently, and, like...
Talk to me.
My daughter's 5. I'm wondering how much the world will change as she grows up. But, like, you watch movies and TV shows now, like people just walking into a room and just like grabbing each other and hugging each other and all that, or like sharing a joint or sharing cigarettes or sharing beers. I feel like it's gonna take a long time to get like back to that, or any capacity of that, and like that humanity, that like connection, just kind of getting lost a little bit.
I agree. Every time we see anything that was filmed before this year, you're like, COVID, what are you doing? You're in a room full of... Like, it's immediate now.
I agree. I just saying, like, oh my God, this was pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah.
That extract from the news is pre-COVID. Oh, they don't wear masks. Oh, they don't respect social distancing.
All of that stuff. I feel like if people do the right thing, we'll get back to it. We'll be fine. Like,
but I think there'll be like psychological implications for years after.
For years. I'm not hugging another motherfucker for a long time, bro. Like, I just couldn't do it. My janitor always tries to give me daps all the time, and as soon as I do it, I have to go wash my hair. I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, why do you always have to?
Even now, he's giving you daps.
I'm. What are you supposed to do? I've had people like drop off beer or drop off stuff, and then they'll come and someone asked me, hey, do you mind if I shake your hand? Like this summer, in the peak of COVID, wanted to shake my hand, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I'm like going to the elevator, like just holding my hand up, like touching it with my elbow, like
you're just like looking at it,
like like it's not optimal.
Where are you bringing it?
I'm gonna go to the bathroom, but I'm gonna plug my phone because I only have 5%. So I'm gonna shut down my camera for a second.
Yeah.
And leave you. I'm gonna go pee-pee.
Go for it. But yeah, no, you are right. I think there's going to be some psyche damage to us, and it's going to take some time to overcome all of that, which isn't optimal, because at the end of the day, as humans, we need that connection, and like obviously we want to hug the people that we care about and stuff, and that's not the optimal way. But you're so right. It's going to have it's a fair bit of time before we're able to get past that. But I think once things are a little more normal again, with
hopefully a vaccine
controlled,
and all that.
Yeah, a vaccine, or maybe motherfuckers decide to randomly become sensible and just stop.
Not gonna happen.
Right? Well, stop taking these cross-country trips, and because you're so fucking, like, I'm all, like, whatever, we talked about it before, but, this is small things that a lot of people could do to make it okay, but everybody is so selfish and always makes different excuses for different things, and thank you, baby. It's a real strange time. and I hope we can get back to it, and I believe that we can, but it's going to take. I saw somebody, who was it? Maybe it was Bill Gates or some shit, said we're not going to be, like, 2021 is not going to be back to normal. Like, it's definitely going to be a 2022 type of situation before things are, a little more chill again. But I do hope we can get back to that. Like, I'm not going to lie, I don't exactly miss beer festivals. I kind of was pretty sick of them beforehand. I kind of overdid it. But I do miss seeing I'm glad we got our blind tasting in January. That was fantastic that we got to do that. I went a little too hard. But just, all of us together hanging out, having a good experience, that was cool. And even just me and you, we used to meet up probably once a month and go get coffee and just, trade beer or something and just hang out. Like, I miss that type of. I went to that cafe the other day, actually. We had to go to the Apple store, so I went to that cafe. And I said, me and Noah used to always come here and have a coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, because they had It's one of my favorite places because they have pumpkin spice lattes, like third-rate pumpkin spice.
They do. It's true.
And they still had it. What day is it? Thursday. We went on, like, Friday last week. And they had pumpkin spice. Yes. But, yeah, it just reminded...
What's it like? You just walk in and you're not allowed sitting down. You just have to, like, grab it to go. Or...
Wash your hands and then order to go and take it out. That was it. We just got that and jumped into Uber and went home. But yeah, I feel like we'll be able to get back to it, but it's going to be a while before beer festivals and shit. I think it's going to be like 5 years before we're really comfortable sharing glasses and stuff. But oh man, this is good. Here, take a sip. Like, we always would do that, and it wouldn't be a problem. I don't think that's going to happen for a while. But I do think we'll be able to maybe get back to, like, the smaller things, once things are a little more chill. And I would like that because I feel like that'd be a nice little thing. But at the same token, doing podcasts this way has now allowed us to talk to people that would be a whole thing to organize otherwise. Like, do you think me and you would go to Quebec City and sit there with Brasserie Generale? Like, the chances of that happening are slim to none.
The silver lining with COVID is been huge for me. Like, my life has been completely changed in many positive ways.
Yeah, you've been able to stay home with the kids more and not have to, like, all that travel time that you had, which I think is fantastic.
Oh, man. I start work at 7. I only have to get up at, like, 6:30.
That's amazing, right?
Sometimes, I used to get up at 4:40-ish.
See, that's crazy.
Get home at 5:30 p.m. Now I finish work at 3:30. I'm already home. It's been pretty eye-opening in a lot of ways. I don't know if I can. I don't know. I don't know if I can ever fully go back to the way it was. I mean, I probably will, but
I think if yeah, man, like
I can't imagine it anymore.
No, and I completely understand. I think the thing is that companies need to understand that once people realize that commuting isn't necessary in the sense of your presence, physical presence in downtown Montreal is so irrelevant to the actual function of your job and to the success of the company. Once they realize that, I feel like it's it's not even about realize, because it's just facts. Like, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. Are they operating? Are they still fine? Like, are you doing your job? Then why the fuck do anyone need? This is something that we had a problem with for a while, because as an agency and a business, we never had an office. We got an office about a year. Was it this year or last year? Last summer. But like one of those, it's called Spaces. It's kind of like WeWork. I think I told you about that shit. And we had that shit, and it was great. And we just went there a couple times a week, and it was up in Milan, so we'd walk up and hang out, and you'd work there for the day and blah blah blah. And it was cool to bring clients there and to have a meeting and stuff, and it felt important. But like, we never had an office, and prior to getting that, we always ended up defending ourselves for not having an office. And then we get an office, and it was cool. And then COVID happens, and we canceled that shit immediately because we were like, I'm not fucking going there again. And we were talking about the changes that COVID sort of had on everything. And, there's no need for an office, and businesses need to realize they just don't need that physical space to sorry, my computer's saying going all red. I've had it plugged in the whole time. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, you just don't need that physical space it doesn't make a difference to the actual outcome of the business. So I don't know. It still says red at 25, which means the computer's fucked. I don't know. It's plugged in back there, so hopefully it sticks around. But anyway, yeah, it's a strange thing, but I feel like there's been a lot of realizations with different places that don't have a physical requirement, like, you know, retail stores. Obviously, they need people there, and certain things like call centers can completely operate from home.
Yeah, that's what we're doing basically. So.
Yeah, so it's a whole different vibe. Emily, by the way, this is fantastic. I didn't realize this has a whole bunch of stuff in it that doesn't say on the can.
It's got a bunch of Christmas spices. And
yeah,
stuff,
it's great, eh?
Roasted cacao, maple syrup, cinnamon, Madagascar vanilla, and toasted coconut. Fuck, I didn't know it was a pastry stout. I just thought it was like a 9% stout.
Is it sweet?
Yeah, but not like too much. Not that I can't finish it myself, because that was what I was a little bit concerned about. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. It's like 9% stout, but it doesn't say that it's a pastry. It just says Imperial Stout, and there's nothing on the can. So I was like, yeah, I'll be fine, whatever. Yeah, it's not too bad at all. But yeah, was there anything else we wanted to? Oh, here we go. Sorry, Montreal Beer Page just commented. He said, I work for National Bank and I've been working from home since March 15th. They won't be seeing us back to the office until at least June 30th. I like that, and I hope they reconsider and just don't ever send anybody back.
Yes.
Let people be home.
I mean, my company too. I mean, they're going to revisit after the end of the first quarter, but I don't foresee us going back until summer, or at least end of winter.
Not in this province. Tiff is saying Shopify is 2022, and I swear I've heard the same with like Google and stuff. Montreal Beer Page says, same as Noah, my life has gotten better since COVID. An extra week of vacation this year, and next year $500 for work equipment this year, and next can't complain. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, you know, ours has been better too. We haven't traveled as much. It's made everything smoother for us. We haven't had, you know, not traveling has been made up for by the Skype podcast. That I feel like it's opened the world up to us, and I can talk to anybody anywhere. And it's like, instead of having to travel there whenever I can get there, now it's like, you know, I can talk to anybody anytime. It's fantastic. I'm super grateful for it, to be honest. It's interesting how it's affected different people. But was there anything else we wanted to? Sorry, I'm really worried this computer's gonna die. It just keeps like dropping, and I don't understand. Sorry, I pulled it back too far. I've got the headphones plugged in. It's not happening again, Noah. It's not happening again.
You're still good.
It's not happening again. I had a problem, Emily, a few weeks ago, but it's not happening.
You should go and watch that episode if you
don't watch that episode. I'm not going to even say which one it is. Fuck that episode. Was there anything else we wanted to touch on, or we feel like we've done pretty well?
We're pretty covered.
Yeah.
I need to hit the sack in a minute,
as they say. Would you guys let's do a thumbnail. So I'm going to do a screenshot. Do you want to hold something up to the screen there? It's plugged in. It's a mess. Uh-oh. Could you move that front can around so it says the front? Thank you. All right. Y'all good? Right? Oh, gorgeous! Look at you guys. No, this was really fun. I'm really glad we did this, Emily. I'm super stoked. It's so nice to chat to you. I haven't seen you in months.
Well, thank you for having me. I had a with you guys.
Likewise.
Me too. We should do it again.
Yeah, we absolutely should.
Let's do it again. Yes.
Yes.
And
the giveaway. Let's seriously talk
Yeah.
about this. We'll jump on the DM and we'll talk afterwards. Emily, where can everybody find you online?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, on
TikTok, too.
La Petite Bière, LAPETITE BIERE.
What's ça? C'est bon là. What's ça? And you are very responsive. If anyone wants to talk to you or ask you a question, you get back to them. You're all over. You're fantastic. Noah, Jeffrey, where can everybody find you?
On Instagram, on Facebook, on beerism.ca, pretty much across the board there.
Mate, everywhere. You guys are fantastic. I genuinely appreciate you both. There's not that many people that sort of really understand all the things that we do, and it's a genuine pleasure to talk to, Noah's been co-hosting with me a lot lately, which has been really, really great. And Emily, it's great to finally actually sit down and hear your story, even though we've talked a million times. It's so cool to do that. I love what you're doing. I appreciate y'all. This is the last episode of the year, so I think this is a really great way to wrap it off.
Sure.
Based on, all the craziness. Didn't expect it to turn out like this and have to do Skype podcasts for 39 episodes plus the other stuff beforehand. So everyone listening, I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting this year. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, mate, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit the notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast. And check out the long form audio so you can hear mother frigging legends like Emily and Noah talk about craft beer every week. The audio will be going until the end of the year. Video will be back whatever the first Friday in January is. I think it's the 8th. We are going to take a much-needed Christmas break. We've been doing I personally have been doing 3-4 podcasts a week, sometimes more. I am exhausted. I'm looking forward to a break. I hope everyone has a fantastic holiday, whatever you celebrate. Drink tons of beer, but also be very balanced and take some breaks and drink water and eat good and hug your family if you're allowed to. And mate, stay healthy. Let's just, we'll see y'all next year. We'll keep going. Guys, stick around for 2 seconds and then we'll wrap it up. Guys, appreciate y'all. See you next year. Peace. Boom. All right. Audience, video guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back. Yeah, I think it's January the 8th. Can't remember who it's with. It's everything's a blur. I have no idea. No, that's like the 15th or something, and you're in that one.
Well, actually, the Monday is the 4th.
Okay, so is it
of January? So I think it's the 8th.
It is the 8th. 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday, January 8th. I forgot. Yeah, I've got all the Januaries booked out. I can't remember what it is. It's a bunch of good stuff. I've been like just doing it slowly, so this is like a good one to wrap up on. That we don't get to do this very often, so this is super special. So hang on, guys. We'll say peace on Skype. Everyone watching, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for everything. Appreciate the comments. Appreciate y'all watching every week. We will see you next week, guys. No, we will see you next week. That's a habit. We'll see you fucking January. I'm going. Bye.